Hi, today we're going to get sold with Ingrid, Balancer of Energy. Hi, I'm Sue Reed, and welcome to Get Sold. So today, what I'm hoping we could get through, if we don't laugh too much or turn red, is doing some analysis of doing shadow work. I met Ingrid a couple of years ago, and she helped me get through some of the worst stuff. I'd been through what they call the dark night of soul, when you kind of your identity goes out the window and you start to break everything down and kind of figure out who you are. And I thought that was the end of it. I thought, okay, I did my work. I'm a good little girl. I can just start to rebuild my life or whatever. Boy, did I have a lot to learn. So when I met Ingrid, and I was pretty stubborn. I didn't really know how to do this thing. She guided me the whole way. And so what I want to kind of talk about is, for people who don't know what shadow work is, I'm actually now, thanks to Ingrid, working with somebody else on this. And I think that's the gift of, once you learn it, you're able to teach someone else, you're able to help in their growth. And you do it from a place of, what Ingrid would always teach me was zero judgment, 0 point, So I did have a few questions that I wrote down, but I think I just want this to go however it's supposed to go. With that, Ingrid, can you kind of put your spin on what you feel shadow work is about? You can give us kind of a summary. Yeah.
Well, first I want to thank you for putting this together and getting us together to do this, I guess, interview, you could call it.
Let's face it, we're both having a lot of trouble with this, huh?
But shadow work is basically another word for saying it's our wounds, our emotional and trauma and stuff we've carried, not just from this lifetime, from our childhood, but also other lifetimes. And so it's recognizing them, acknowledging when you have awareness and letting it go. And it's done in many different ways. Just acknowledging it is the biggest part, or having awareness. And that's what I pretty much tell, most people that I talk with, is number one is always awareness.
Yeah.
Because
so if on that line of being aware, now for me, I think everybody probably does it a little differently, but how you and I work together was my shadow stuff came up when I saw that video. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or whatever, but the video you sent me, and it was kind of the way things are right now, shadow and light in the world. And that opened up, that like cracked me wide open to see what was behind the curtain of what's going on with our humanity. And I guess for me, that's how I began the shadow work, because all of a sudden I had to learn that I couldn't judge that. And if I did, that there was something I had to work on inside of me. You and I did a lot of like past life kind of stuff, but it was through me seeing it from the real world as to what's really going on, and having that sort of awakening to what's really out there. And then for 2 years, like, I literally ate my way through it. I gained a lot of weight back because I was scared to death. And looking inside of the sides of myself that I didn't know I had, that were buried in other lifetimes, or just buried in things, little behaviors I might display or whatever. But for me, that was the tip off. I don't think that it's that way for everybody. I think it's whatever that person experiences that makes them uncomfortable, maybe. So I know you had started to do, like you mentioned to me, you started to do your shadow work in like 2018, or was it sooner than that, later?
Probably more 2018.
Yeah.
When I started to I guess, opened my eyes and realized there's more than just, waking up, going to work, coming
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
eating, going back to bed, that there was more to it. But as I say, that was just my time.
Yeah.
For me,
That's
that was just my time to begin the awakening journey, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, and see, like when I went through the dark night of soul after my parents died, I thought that was the end of it. I thought, okay, well, I've just done, a big thing here by, crashing the old identity, what I thought it was, who I thought I was, and all that stuff, because, things weren't great growing up. And I just thought, okay, now that they're gone and I got to rebuild myself from the ground up. I didn't think there was any more. I just thought, okay, put the pieces back together. But the shadow work has been, for me, the most pivotal part of any of that. Like whatever I went through with the dark night of soul, or they call it ego death or whatever, that was like, okay, it was bad, it sucked. But the shadow work was like so much more intense. But yeah, on being on the other side of it, or at least most of the other side of it, I see the biggest changes. And so for me, I think that if with your spin on it or whatever, if we can kind of share with people what they might be experiencing, that would set this off and why it's necessary, or if, is it necessary? Is it not necessary? Is it something that's just simply a personal choice? Or are we all collectively going through this together? I mean, what do you feel on that?
Well, my belief on that is just that we do have a dharma, which is our destiny, and it's already lined up, you could say, as to what we're supposed to be doing or going to be doing, that our soul agreed to. And so we have different points on that line for things to happen. And so, there are many souls who agree to not consciously wake up.
Okay. Yep.
So, but whether you agree to, or, consciously aware of it or not consciously aware, it is happening to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like I said, if you're not aware of it, you're not aware of it.
Yeah. So energetically, things are always going on behind the scenes. But like you said, awareness is something that will kind of start you on the journey of opening all that stuff up. If you were to say, or if somebody were to experience anxiety, depression, things like that, could you say that might be an onset of something of shadow work? Or, is it just a shift in the life? Is it, what would you categorize that as?
Well, I think anxiety is a precursor that there is something to work on.
Okay. All right. And
definitely precursor.
Yeah. Okay. Now, one of the things you work with me a lot on, and yes, I'll just be open about stuff, it's like if I had a certain behavior or I had a certain thought pattern, you would always tell me there's more to it than that. So I might feel like I'm a victim for a minute, and you're like, flip the switch, turn it the other way around. And, what do you think you might have done so that you could feel this now? I don't know if I'm jumping too far ahead with the shadow work, because this is kind of new to me too, like talking about that, because I know what I've just experienced, but I'm trying to not make it too complicated, but then again, make it so somebody who's just going to start going through it, if they choose to, can kind of see the signs, or kind of, ask inside, is this, I don't know, I went through it like just oblivious because I didn't see it coming. I just, whoa. Mm-mm.
Well, this is where I just tell people, is just to have awareness of what you're feeling.
Okay.
Because your body and your emotions is your indication.
Right. And that's a big thing, because haven't we all been taught basically not to feel? or the minute emotion starts to come up, we're like, no, no, we can't do that. You can't, you know, I think women have an easier time of it than men do, because certainly they've all been trained to just bottle it up, bottle it up. And that is something you taught me, is that if I start to feel angry about something or frustrated or whatever, you're always like, ask into it, just stop, drop, and go in and, you know, what is this about? And it took a while to kind of get me in that pattern of doing that, because I would get mad. I would just be like, oh, here we go again. And then sometimes I didn't even want to do it. I just, you know, like, no, not now. I'm not doing this now. I'm not, you know, but eventually you come around, because you're like, oh, this sucks. You know, I'm either having anxiety or I can't go about my day because this is looming back here. And I'm like, oh, okay, stop, drop, and just go into it. Obviously with people's busy lives, I'm sure it's, you know, it's hard to do that, but I think giving people permission maybe to absolutely go into that emotion would be like, kind of like step one or something, you know, like feel it, feel it. I mean, we can say it back and forth. You say it so calmly, you know, but I remember the days where I was just like angry about having to feel stuff. You know, no, I don't want to. I don't want to cry again. I don't want to be mad. I don't want to. You know, I was like a little kid, just like, you know. But every time I walked through it, it's like I cleared out more so that something else good could come in. And it was just like that, whoo, big sigh of relief when something was discovered, whether it was past life, whether it was a, you know, a belief or a thought that was limiting to me. It was like once I force myself to go down that road. But I kind of say that it definitely is for the strong, I guess you'd say, because you have to see things you don't want to see. And you can't keep blaming everybody, right? You can't be like, I would always say, oh, gee, I'm picking up somebody else's energy. No, that's your stink, you know, you deal with it.
You know, that is one of like the biggest things is not taking responsibility, you know, wanting to blame others. And also I do find that with people who say, or who are empaths, and they will say, you know, I'm picking up, you know, I pick up this emotion, that emotion. And then I'm like, well, you have to understand, if you're picking it up, it's just magnifying something within your own self.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
I think I have that phrase memorized in my head by now. But it took a long time to realize that, because I would always look around for the other guy. Oh, you did it, you know, and there is no victimization. And when you said taking responsibility, that's huge, because we're basically taught not to. You know, it's kind of like this whole, you know, we've always been raised, somebody else must have done it to us. And taking responsibility all the way means you're all in, and you know, you're doing the emotional thing, you're owning it.
and that is why it's hard. That's why it's hard.
It totally is. I want to say sometimes I wish we could pace it out, but I think once you agree to take it on and agree to do that inner work, it's like you almost don't know when it's going to hit. I always think it's like popcorn or something, you know, it's like some days you're going along, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm riding the wave. And all of a sudden, you know, boom, something's coming up. And, you know, they do say it is, you know, you have to be strong to go through it. But I think everybody, if they chose to, could go through it. It's almost like the permission thing, you know, give yourself permission to take that time and go into it, and then take responsibility for it. Obviously easier said than done, but
yeah, because as both you and I know, that we have gone through some of the really, really hard emotions. Those are hard. Those are really hard to feel. Those are hard.
Most definitely. For me, I think some of the groundbreaking stuff that happened with me were events in my life that you helped put clarity to by making me look at those things. And I don't know like how deep we need to get here, but you know, there was a time I had gotten popped in the mouth while managing tenants. And for the longest time, I was angry, look at my teeth, this, that, and the other thing. And when you taught me to do this shadow work, it was, oh, wait a minute, I know some people don't believe in past lives or whatever, but, whatever, we can't really appease everyone. But
Right.
when you showed me to look into that, like, well, what did you do to him? It was almost like that night could have been so much worse. And just knowing that I didn't have to know specifically what I did, but it was not good. It immediately, the forgiveness, the wave of release was like, oh my God, I don't have to hold on to this anymore. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to feel unjustified because I never had my day in court with him and he got away with this and that and the other thing. I was like, that all went away like in an instant when I took responsibility for it. So it's hard to do, but I honestly think that if you're really going to do any kind of growth and really get to the next level, it's like you just got to do it. You just got to dive in and
that leads to another really, really important part with shadow work is also forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Very important, because as you already know, forgiveness isn't about the other person.
No.
It's for you.
Yeah.
To let go of that that it brings that energy to a culmination, an end.
Yeah.
When you don't forgive and you continuously blame someone else, it keeps that energy in that cycle, a loop.
Yeah. And if it was something that made you angry, it's like you're always feeling that heaviness of that anger. And then sometimes you attach triggers to things and you don't even know you have a trigger. And then somebody crosses that line and boom. I had a lot of triggers relating to some of the stuff I saw growing up. And, at some point I had done that work before the shadow work, but it was, I guess it was part of the shadow work in a sense.
They keep coming.
Yeah. It's like we need a big like telephone line or something where everybody's doing it at the same time. It's like, yep, are you in bed today? Yep, I'm in bed today. Yeah, I'm just really not feeling it today, just like everybody. It's cool, it's okay. You doing shadow work today? Yeah, I'm doing shadow work today. It would just feel so much better if we all could just not judge and not if you're standing in line somewhere and you just feel you're welling up with tears because something is just coming to your awareness. It's cool, it's okay. Oh, they're just doing their shadow work. It'd be kind of neat if it were like that. But let me see if I have written down some questions. I guess we kind of covered them. What advice would you give for somebody who feels like they are ready to do this? Like, where would you begin? Where would you offer up some kind of advice to say, okay, if you're really going to do this and you're going to, start this way, what would you suggest?
Well, I always say awareness is number one. Begin to have more awareness of what you're feeling. What kind of thoughts you're having in your, where are your thoughts at? What are you feeling? But the other thing is support.
Oh my God.
Who, I don't want to say a mentor, but finding others who have already gone through it and have experienced it and helped tremendously.
Yeah, I gotta say that's huge.
At it, because when you're all alone with it, you can feel like you're crazy.
Yeah. I literally don't think I could have done this without you. And I'm sure at some point my soul had asked. I remember one day myself saying to myself, I can't do the next steps. I am weak from going through what I went through. And I said, I can't do whatever it is where I'm going next. I need help. And I didn't know what the next step was, being the shadow work, but I just knew I needed help. And then you and I met sort of, by accident on purpose.
Nothing's ever.
No, that's why I say that with the, the air quotes, like, and And I don't know, because I took it so hard when I saw myself as a mean person in other lifetimes, when I saw myself doing cruel things, and I was like, that's not me, you know, God, I would never do that. But we've all had lifetimes of doing that and worse. And I think the other comfort you gave me, I know, I mean, not think, but I know, is when we'd always go back to, it's to help the collective. It's your piece of the pie that you're agreeing to take on to help everyone else. So, you know, once you take yourself out of, okay, I'm taking responsibility, and then you kind of take yourself out of my life, and then you realize there's a bigger reason for it. And then we all agreed to take on these things. That was also kind of a, I don't know what you want to say, like a good byproduct of that, when you realize that if you can take yourself out of it, do the work, but take yourself out and go, I'm doing this for everyone, not just me, but everyone, so we can all get back to oneness.
And I want to make sure, you know, others who hear this or might hear this understand, when you say doing this for others, it's not clearing their stuff.
Right.
It's yours, but what you clear of your own stuff clears everywhere else.
Yes. Yes.
It maxes out. So it's clearing your own stuff.
Yeah. Like the ripple. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's,
you heal, and that's how you heal the earth as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right. So awareness, taking responsibility, feeling. If anybody's taking notes, write it down, people, write it down. And I think, you know, if you're strong enough to do it alone, God bless you, you know, but I know I wasn't. And that's because I didn't want to see myself as, you know, as having done things that we've all done. That was hard for me. So I needed a buddy, and that was you. So, and again, now I can understand it so well that I don't fall into the traps anymore. And sometimes maybe you'll need to nudge me a little bit, like, go a little deeper, go a little deeper. But on the other side of it, or at least 3/4 of the way, I don't know how much is left to go, you know, but it has created some amazing things. It's created in me, the channel drawing gift that you know, showed me I had. And that was a tool that I could use to do some of my shadow work, which is incredible. So it's almost like once you release a lot of that stuff, then there's new, more yummy stuff coming in that makes you feel good. It's like your prize after doing your work. You're like, okay, you studied really hard, you did this, you released that, now here's a cookie, you know. And that's, I think, what we're all looking for, is the cookies and the you know, there's a lot of work to be done, but also looking forward to what happens once you release all that stuff, all that baggage, all the things you thought you were and you're not, you're better, you know, all the letting go, all the, you know, just learning eventually gets you to where you want to be. I didn't know that. That was quite the journey with that alone. So I don't know, what else do we have to add to this?
What I do want to mention is, as you work on your shadows and you have awareness, one thing I usually do is, or what I tell others is, feeling into your emotions. You know, what are you feeling? Like checking in with yourself. And you can recognize when you're not peace, and you're not calm, and you're not neutral.
Yep.
Everybody recognizes that, but it's stopping and actually having awareness and asking yourself.
Yep.
I actually did that recently, 2 weeks ago. Here I was in beautiful South Beach, on the beach, and I was walking around with a frown on my face. And then all of a sudden the awareness kicks in and I realize, what, I'm in this nice place by myself. I'm like, why am I frowning? And so I asked, and, one of my gifts, I guess, for clearing a lot is I am clairaudient. So I do hear, claircognizant. So I do get things. But I heard that I was ending 2 cycles, and one of the cycles was loneliness, which explained why I was down on South Beach by myself for the most part. Was to clear that cycle, which was a really big cycle, which that's what we're in if you follow astrology. Is that there is actually the eclipse on April 30th is big. It's for ending cycles that have gone on for eons and eons. So anyway, it is stopping when you realize and you have awareness that you're not calm, neutral, or peaceful feeling. And then you start feeling into it. What am I feeling? What am I, where's my thoughts? What am I thinking about? And then that's when you tap into, your emotions, what you're feeling.
It's like maybe everybody has a different method too. I found for me, on the days that I could do it, I was just staying in my bed, like that was my safe place. That was my like cocoon of, okay, I'm going through this and I'm going to spend the day, in my bed and just feeling it, letting it come up, whatever would come up. Some people might want to journal. Some people, I think the important thing is just, as you've said, is to just feel it. Don't try to block it. Don't try to, I know one of the little things I caught myself doing, distractions. When I could feel something coming up, I would be like, oh, let me watch this video on YouTube. Oh, let me do this. Oh, let me do that. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I know what's happening here. And I would catch myself after a little while and I'd get agitated and I'd get like, but I'm like, gotta do it. And then afterwards, whether it was that I had to cry it out or do a channel draw on something or whatever, there's just that big sense of, okay, good, that's cleared out. Goodbye. Lovingly, goodbye. But
it is such a big release and relief.
Yeah.
When that heaviness let go of, when that density.
I get sad when I see like a lot of people, and there's no way you can really say anything unless they're open to it. It's just when they start to go into anxiety, and it's something that's changing or that needs to come up, but they're not, we weren't raised that way. We weren't taught those things, spiritual survival skills or anything, we were just taught to just put your happy face on, go into the world and suffer silently.
Honor the intellect. That's what we were taught in school, is to honor the intellect.
Yeah.
The mental capacity, not what we're feeling.
Right.
Because being vulnerable and, can't be vulnerable.
No. And the other thing, the world part of it is to just try, everybody numb yourself with something, numb yourself with whatever. And I'm not judging anything, but alcohol or drugs or, even sex, whatever.
Food.
Food. Food. Oh, that's my choice. Oh, yes. Yeah. All day long. Yeah, I got a lot of walking to do. Oh my God. But yeah, that's, because we shouldn't have to resort. We weren't built to, count on these external things to keep us numb, It's like, if you're numb, you can't get to the best parts of you. You can't get to those dreams and to those, aspirations. As a little kid, I always had big dreams. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I'm still working on it. But I had those dreams, and
are they being displayed?
Oh my goodness. Okay, you all don't see that. I haven't perfected this system yet.
Dreams. I like the colors, pink
Yeah,
and
that
blue.
is cool, huh?
Little lavender there.
Oh, man. Well, we'll get there. I don't know what happened. It just,
Okay. Like most people minds, very active, very busy.
oh my goodness. All right. Well, there's a techie person out there that can help me figure out how to not let that happen. Then it'll certainly be a big help. Yeah, it just went like completely, I don't know. I don't know. Well,
That is all right.
life happens. Life happens. But so I don't know. I think I mean, I'm hoping who's ever listening to this will find some value in it and make its way to you. And I want to thank you for joining me today and talking candidly about something that's pretty difficult. I mean, there's a lot of offshoots of this too, like we sort of touched on it a little bit. So, well, you know, like soul contracts, and there's a whole lot more to it. And I think as we go on, maybe we can break those things down in other videos and keep going. But I think for a, you know, a starter topic, this was pretty good, I hope.
Right.
So we'll see. Do you have anything else you'd like to add or?
Just to have trust and faith that that is
That's
so
huge.
good.
Yeah, that really is. Because if you can't feel and the faith or even the hope that there's something bigger for us out there somewhere, it can be a tough life. You can wind up suffering more than you have to. And that's the other thing with the shadow work is I think that we're taught to suffer and we're taught that everything is painful to get to. And that's why a lot of people, you know, if you know the secrets, if you know the remedies and somebody can show you, well, you know, this is what's happening. If you can walk through that and get to the other side, you won't need to numb yourself. You won't, you know, you'll be okay. You know, you'll be better than okay. I've always believed that. It's just doing the work. And it's
Yeah,
hard.
that's the hard part.
It is. And
Hear about it, but going through the experiences, they're tough.
yeah, I think we're almost afraid to say that because like when we talk about, oh, this is another one, like if you're a light worker or an empath or something like that, either, you know, I've heard a lot about some of the light workers not even wanting to do this, not even wanting to go into those places and still kind of put on this, but I'm, you know, happy and I'm, you know, going to teach other people, you know, whatever you want to call it, spiritual stuff. But it's almost like they got to go through it too in order to get to the better part of, oh, there you are, you came back.
But see, ask for help and there you got it.
Don't do this again. It says, don't do this again.
Oh, that's
you. Oh man, and that's the other thing, sense of humor. Gotta have a little sense of humor with some of those too.
absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, what I was gonna say was, you know, in regards to the light workers or whatever, you know, nobody, if you're gonna get to somewhere in life, if you're gonna do this, it's not just light workers that have to do it. It's like this, and there's everybody's equal. Everybody's equal. So whether you say you're a light worker and you're doing, you know, you're in service to others or whatever, it's almost like, you know, that should be a prerequisite, I think, because I think it really brings out what you taught me was to honor the dark and the light and to bring it to a neutral 0 point. And now that I think that way, it makes everything a lot easier. I don't have to look at something and say it's black or it's white. I don't have to look at something and say it's good or it's bad. I just have to accept it, look at it, be the observer. But I don't think you can get to that point without doing the shadow work. Because how can you? If you're judging yourself in any way whatsoever, how can you then look at the world, you know, with a clean set of eyes and no judgment? You know, you have to go inside, I think. I also used to call it cleaning out the closet, you know, literally, like, the more light comes in, you're looking, going, oh God, I got old shoes in there, I got old clothes in there, I got to get those out. And, you know, it might be painful, like if you gained weight and you're like, oh, I can't get into my skinny jeans, but I don't need them anymore, I'm just going to let them go, no judgment. Look at that, you cleaned out your closet, now you can buy a new pair of jeans, you know. But that's kind of how I looked at it too, you know. Maybe there's some stuff in the closet, some skeletons and stuff, but they got to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you turn that light on in the closet,
It's there.
yep.
Mhm. I think if we can, again, just give everyone who wishes to do this the permission to do it, and that you're not crazy and that you're not alone, you know, maybe this social group around you doesn't understand it, but somebody will, you know, somebody around you who's also going through it, you know, will be your buddy or something if you reach out. So yeah.
Well, ask for help, put it out to the universe.
Mhm. Yeah. Boy, we could have a whole video on just like learning to go inward. Like that was another thing that you were like, you got to be still enough to get into that heart space, because, you know, that's where your answers are. And that was really hard because there's so much going on in the brain all the time. But
That's
if
like most people.
yeah,
Most people, they're too much in their heads, or can't quiet. Or most people I hear from when I tell them I go meditate is, oh, I can't do that. I hear too much. I can't still my mind, but you can. Anybody can.
I know you were always on my case about that too, because I'm like, oh, I got ADHD. I got ADHD. I know, but yeah, it is a discipline, and maybe it takes a little bit longer, a little bit more effort, or whatever. But that's where the answers are, and it's really important. Like we were taught always to do the external, you know, my answers are out there somewhere. That's how I was raised, you know, do as I say. That's all I heard, do as I say. So it took me a while when I had to go through the, you know, the ego death to go, no, it's not out there, it's in here.
Right.
And yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we'll definitely
You got that, all the static, you got to get rid of all that so you can hear that.
yeah, most definitely. And it's true. And when you do that, like, it just, you know, I think throughout my life, it was like intermittent. It was like when I needed to hear it, they came through the, you know, your higher self, but it was literally like a crapshoot because there was so much going on. And now to know I can just, you know, deliberately do it, and now I actually get a response. It's like, wow, you know, wow. It's empowerment. It's feeling like, wow, I'm starting to learn how to use this body and this mind and this spirit and everything all together, you know, to get somewhere.
Right.
Or nowhere. It's all good. Well, we did it. We made the video.
We did. We talked enough.
I think so. Let's see, what time is it? No, I think we got it. So I guess we'll once we get this video, we'll upload it to Get Sold. And please remember, though it's not up on the screen now, Ingrid, Balancer of Energy, go to her website, check out what she does. She has so many amazing gifts and disciplines, and I just can't say enough good you know, about what she can do to help those who want to grow and experience stuff. And I don't know, like I said, I'm going to say it again, I don't know where I would be if she wasn't there to literally hold my hand through the shadow work. It was that tough for me, you know. So thank you so much for that. And so go to her website, check her out, do your healing. So I guess we'll sign off. So everybody, thanks for getting sold with Ingrid and Sue. So
Having me.
And we out. Love to everybody. Love, love, love. See you on the next video.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.